This is what happens when I don't get to chisel. Hi, welcome to Chisel This. I'm Matt Forio. The last epic rap battle parodies was near perfect. The editing was flawless. Characters had awesome costumes. There was just one little problem I had with it, and that's the fact that I didn't get to chisel all of it in time. Normally what I do as Matt Forio on the ERBP staff is to take the lyrics and make it good. I did that, and I did this whole demo, and that's how I wound up playing Cupid, but we'll get to that later. So, this is what happened. ERBP released the audio on SoundCloud before I even got a chance to look at it, before I even know it existed for that matter. I looked at it, and it just needed to be chiseled. I took the liberty of chiseling it myself, basically just didn't tell anyone. I made my own demo. We'll get to that in a second. That'll be one part of the video. You'll be able to click on screen exactly what parts of the video you would like to see, but if you start watching it from here on, you'll see all of them as they follow each other. Before I chiseled it, I just did this whole outline of everything that was wrong with it. I'm not gonna go through everything. I'm just gonna point out a few examples of the things that just shouldn't ever happen. Saint Valentine says, "Someone's got a foot fetish, putting gifts in little children's shoes." This is the explanatory clause. Do not explain the reasoning for a joke or diss within the text of the battle. The reasoning is to be understood either before or after the battle, but not during. He puts gifts in children's shoes. That's the known fact. That's what has to be turned into a joke. It is turned into a joke. You say he has a foot fetish. Great, but don't say why. It should be implied through the rest of the text that you use that he has a foot fetish because he does this. Romans took your name off the calendar because nobody knows who you are. In the original text, St. Nicholas says, "You were imprisoned and tortured. I'll do much worse. Just wait." You can ask a rhetorical question with the intention of following up with a punchline. A boneless threat is what we have here when you say, "I'll do much worse, just wait." A threatening term, word, or statement that, when removed from the context, applies to no one in particular, but to a broad audience. "I'll do much worse, just wait." You can put anything else there that St. Nicholas has done or Valentine has done that is relevant to the situation. It's wasted space if you don't. The name's Cupid, you stupid, fat, pedophilic devastation. I show love throughout the world. You promote civilization. Okay, you stupid, fat, pedophilic devastation. Devastation is a concept. It is a noun that cannot be been. You cannot be a word that surmises other words. In the definition of devastation, it is great destruction or damage. You promote civilization? How does civilization is the stage of human and social development that is considered most advanced. I can't even explain why that doesn't make sense, because it's just so uncalled for. Like, it's not relevant to anyone, and promoting social development is not something to be ashamed of. And the worst line, making money off of greeting cards? Now that just makes me pissed, since it brings a whole new meaning to the naughty list. The empty document that existed in a vacuum prior to the writing of this document must have been littered with the most repugnant of cavities because there are so many filler lines. Making money off of greeting cards, now that just makes me pissed. Okay, if it is about giving people cards, then great, but why is it relevant? There's no place for it. You know what, I hope that my version of these lyrics speaks for itself, and we're gonna get into that right now. Before we start anything, let me show you the actual video with my audio and my lyrics. Note that the mouths obviously won't match up if the lyrics weren't changed in the long run, but just check it out, see how it looks.
Chisel version! Saint Valentine! Saint Nicholas! Hardcore from my heart, I've spoken off for you can't butter. The Scottish cock has been body can't go harder than a martyr.
doctor.
Your charity hookers must got wonders working for you. Good shoes revered for slipping fungal infections in children's shoes. I'm an inconspicuous officiant to get the hitch business solicitor. And while you regret the kids' visceral wishes, your chimney sees no visitors. If the so-called sanctifies the way that I've been sanctified, then I will make you love me if it means that I must patronize.
Set off third wheels about to meet his lawmaker. Behavior you can consider this bishop a pawn breaker. A canonized betrayer to the emperor is my challenger. I'll rock you to Flaminian way and wipe you off the calendar. As winter falls, the children call the one and only Santa Claus. You think I'm wrong? I'll clip your wings right up and twist your jingle ball. Me and my posse of apostles beat you once a week, but once a year I will honor your execution as bittersweet.
Meet you in the court of law. You'll find a master chancellor. Tell your north side gang that it's time for a massacre. I'm a hardy heart of archery, so don't make me shoot. There's only room for me or you, and you don't quite fit the suit. Yeah, I'm so fly, I'm the god of desire. Keep making children live lies, and I'll roast your nuts on the fire. My kind of love conquers all, but your existence is the paradigm that redefines mankind as one who'll never have a Valentine.
Little shriveled Darrow can't handle the snow when I got this hoe, that hoe, all hoes. There is no comparing the savior's reigning sleigh rider to the gay tooth fairy who's dumping raps out of his dapper. Stop shooting humans. If you didn't exist, there'd be way less kids fooling around on my naughty list. It's a jolly bowl of jelly against a classical fatty, so take a seat on my lap and let me show you who's your daddy.
Who won? Who's that? You drink your chisel next time.
Literally just can't say anything about it. So, St. Valentine versus St. Nicholas. I prepared a foreword before anybody says anything. For this battle of two men and their corresponding mascots, it is to be assumed that anything said by anyone on either team is in regards to anyone on either team. For example, even though Santa Claus has not appeared on screen yet, Cupid still makes remarks that are clearly directed towards Santa Claus. This was done to ensure that we had the best disses and references without limiting them to only who has appeared on screen so far. It is clearly Valentine and Cupid versus Saint Nick and Santa Claus. So we want to make it that way. We don't want to limit anybody to not dissing anybody because they haven't shown up yet. And particularly, Santa Claus has the most things to be made fun of, and if we followed that structure, then nobody would be making fun of him. We're going to start off with St. Valentine. Hark, with all my heart, I'll spark an offer you can't barter. This guarded carcass from body can't go harder than a martyr. St. Valentine begins the battle in a way that reflects his personality. Referencing a quote from The Godfather, Valentine asserts himself as a leader, patriarch, pimp, or godfather of his society. The reason for this exactly is what he was made famous for, his authority to marry individuals. Emperor Claudius II had issued an edict that forbid young people from getting married in the church. Saint Valentine evaded this law to pursue his faith in human relationships. He would illegally marry couples in the church. This makes him somewhat of an underground lord of love. In this first line, he's trying to offer that business to St. Nicholas. However, the business in this case is not love or marriage, but it's beating him in a rap battle. Valentine also pokes at how St. Nicholas's tomb was guarded by Varangian guards of the Byzantine Empire, whom he is also the patron saint of. And his holy relics and burial grounds is located in Bari, Italy. Valentine shows his honorability in that he was persecuted and killed for his faith, but St. Nicholas was not. The term go hard, according to the Urban Dictionary, is defined as doing something to its fullest, doing something well. It is a common slang term. The double meaning in the way that the phrase is said is that to go also means to die or be killed. So Valentine says that he goes hard or is killed in a terrible way. Not only was his death metaphorically hard, but also physically because it involved stoning. So when he says you can't go harder than a martyr, he literally means you can't go harder than a martyr. Valentine says your charity hookers must got wonders working for you, cause who's revered for slipping fungal infections in children's shoes? Do you see where the chiseling comes in? The original line was, someone's got a foot fetish, putting gifts in little children's shoes. But here we got rid of all the excess material and just to have the bare bones and surrounded by 2 extra references. St. Valentine mocks St. Nicholas in 3 ways here. The first involves what Wikipedia defines as St. Nicholas's most famous exploit. Let me read it to you. A poor man had 3 daughters but could not afford a proper dowry for them. This meant that they would remain unmarried and probably, in the absence of any other possible employment, would have to become prostitutes. Even if they did not, unmarried maidens in those days would have been assumed as being a prostitute. Hearing of the girls' plight, Nicholas decided to help them, but being too modest to help the family in public, or to save them the humiliation of accepting charity, he went to the house under the cover of night and threw 3 purses, one for each daughter, filled with gold coins through the window opening into the house. Valentine refers to these women as charity hookers, assuming that Nicholas only sought to help them for his sexual gain. The segue into the next line comes in the form of a proposed situation. The second reference is how St. Nicholas is widely known as the Wonder Worker. The third comes from the annual tradition of putting gifts in children's shoes after they leave them in the hallway for St. Nicholas. As he mostly gave gifts in secrecy, Nicholas practiced placing coins in the shoes of little children who left them for him, similar to the tradition today. Valentine pokes at the oddity of this act by claiming that Nicholas's true intention is to give children fungal infections of the foot, such as athlete's foot, by providing them with interactable substances that would have by then made contact with unsanitary mediums such as shoes. The way all 3 references are linked is that Valentine questions his Nicholas's venerability by saying his charity hookers must have wonders working for him, or must have pulled some strings to ensure his sainthood. He supports the claim to an undeserved sainthood by rhetorically asking why anyone would be canonized for something as ridiculous as giving children gifts in their shoes in the middle of the night. Valentine says, "I'm an inconspicuous officiant, the get-hitched business solicitor, and while you are granting kids visceral wishes, your chimney sees no visitors." Valentine reiterates who he is, providing a foundation for his claim that he is overall better than St. Nicholas. The comparison occurs when indirectly stating that, while Nicholas is simply feeding the materialistic appetites of children, he receives no love and affection himself. Santa Claus commonly climbs down chimneys to give children gifts. Chimneys in this sense, referencing penis. If the so-called sanctifies the way that I've been sanctified, then I will make you love me if it means that I must patronize. This line is Valentine's dying wish to the world. Over time, his legacy has been whittled down to what the world knows as Cupid. There are at least 3 possibilities of who the true man behind St. Valentine actually is, which is one of the reasons that his name was overall removed from the Roman calendar. If St. Nicholas doubts the legitimacy of St. Valentine's sainthood, then he will force himself upon the world by becoming the patron saint of love. He will be loved, and the way he will do it is by patronizing love itself. Secondarily, patronize is defined by Merriam-Webster as to talk to someone in a way that shows that you believe you are more intelligent or better than other people. Thirdly, and possibly most evidently, is the reference to Bonnie Raitt's something famous song, I Can't Make You Love Me, which contains these lyrics. Just hold me close, don't patronize me. 'Cause I can't make you love me. 'Cause I can't make you love me if you don't. You can't make your heart feel something it won't. It's a very popular song, and that line just twists the words around of it and makes this whole backstory to it of what Valentine has to do to stay afloat in today's world. St. Nicholas time. The eternal third wheel is about to meet his lawmaker. Behave or you can consider this bishop a pawn breaker. Nicholas immediately mocks Valentine's role as a marriage officiant by calling him the eternal third wheel. A third wheel is a way of defining someone who is in the company of a couple. 2 people engage in a relationship and one who's not part of that relationship. The third wheel is often felt left out and awkward. This is in reference to how Valentine would always marry people but not get married. Nicholas says Valentine is about to meet his lawmaker, or God, because he's going to kill him. But also, lawmaker refers to the Emperor Claudius, who Valentine disobeyed by marrying people. Nicholas infers that he will stop Valentine from doing these illegal acts and bring him forth to the Emperor. If Valentine does not behave according to the law that's provided for him, he will assert himself as a pawn breaker. Although both were bishops, Nicholas belittles Valentine's authority to that of a pawn. A pawn and bishop are both chess pieces, with bishop having much more range than a pawn does. The reference in this line is that St. Nicholas is the patron saint of pawnbrokers. Nicholas will break this pawn and will do it as the patron saint of pawnbrokers. Canonized betrayer to the emperor is my challenger. I'll rock you the Flaminian way and wipe you off the calendar. Nicholas is baffled that not only is this the reason why he was canonized as a saint, but that whoever made this rap battle put him up against him. Referencing Valentine's martyrdom, St. Nicholas says he is going to rock him. To rock in music terms means to go hard, to get the crowd going. He will rock Valentine because rocks are what were used to kill him. Nicholas plays on words at the burial ground of St. Valentine. Via Flaminia, or the Flaminian Way, is where St. Valentine was buried after he was killed. Nicholas changes the definition of the word way from referencing to a street or path to the means by which someone does something. Nicholas will rock him the Flaminian way, both killing him and burying him. As winter falls, the children call the one and only Santa Claus. You think I'm wrong, I'll clip your wings right off and twist your jingle balls. That's 6 rhymes. Nicholas uses this intense rhyme scheme to declare which saint is more relevant in their winter months. The premise of this battle. When winter comes around, children only care for St. Nicholas. If Valentine does not believe him, he will clip his theoretical wings, as seen in pictures and on Cupid, and twist his jingle balls or testicles. Wing clipping is the process in which a bird is rendered unable to fly by trimming the light feathers. Me and my posse of apostles beat you once a week. Nicholas compares the veneration of each saint in terms of importance and length. According to Wikipedia, in the Eastern Orthodox Church, St. Nicholas's memory is celebrated on almost every Thursday of the year, together with the apostles, with special hymns to him which are found in the liturgical book known as the Something. In this regard, if memory celebration was a competition, St. Nicholas would win. St. Nicholas and the apostles with which he is venerated would win because they are celebrated once a week, and St. Valentine is only celebrated once a year, February 14th, Valentine's Day. The closing line for St. Nicholas is, "But once a year, we'll honor your execution as bittersweet." Nicholas promotes false sympathy by showing how stark the contrast between the two is. He's saying that he and his friends will honor St. Valentine's death day by exchanging gifts, tokens of love, but most importantly, candy. The honorary tradition of sharing candy in remembrance of St. Valentine, who was executed, is referred to as bittersweet, to represent the fake sadness of his death, but more importantly, the sweetness that the candy provides. Now on to Cupid, played by yours truly. Fun fact about Cupid, actually. When I did this entire demo, I rewrote all of it, and I sent it to ERBP, like the head honcho, Xander, you know, and they listened to all of it, and they just thought Cupid's verse was hilarious. And instantly, Xander just said, "You're being Cupid." And it's funny because if you listen to the audio, you can now say that when I was recording that, I had no idea that it would be in the final video. That's why you always do everything to your full potential, no matter what. Yeah. Meet you in the court of love. You'll find I'm Master Chancellor. On the history of Valentine's Day, Wikipedia states, the earliest description of February 14th as an annual celebration of love appears in the Charter of the Court of Love. The charter, allegedly issued by Charles VI of France at Montes-la-Jolie in 1400, describes lavish festivities to be attended by several members of the royal court, including a feast, amorous song, and poetry competitions, jousting, and dancing. So the Court of Love is the first initiation point of Valentine's Day as liturgically and historically documented. Cupid declares that he is the chancellor of this court, chancellor being defined as the presiding judge over a court of chancery. Cupid says, "Tell your North Side gang that it's time for a massacre." This line, being the most important of the entire body of text, is the entire reason why I even decided to rewrite this. At first, I was like, you know what? Let everybody see what happens when I'm not involved in the ERBP. Just let them do it. You know, this battle is just, it's not one of the huge ones. Let them do it. Let's see what people think about it, seeing that I didn't do it. I was wondering why St. Valentine's Day Massacre wasn't referenced at all. And I looked it up, and just the biggest eyesore. It's right there. It was right in front of me. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre saw the murders of 5 people from Chicago's North Side gang. Referencing this tragedy, Cupid tells St. Nicholas to tell his North Side gang, the elves in the North Pole, that he is going to execute all of them. North Side gang, North Pole, the gang of the North Pole, the elves. It's right there! And that's just the whole reason that I took the liberty of rewriting this entire battle. I'm the hardy heart of archery, so don't make me shoot. There's only room for me or you, and you don't quite fit the suit. Cupid, showing his non-hostile nature, states that his skill is at the pinnacle of the art of archery, using a famous quote used by various people in various places, "Don't make me shoot," usually said when somebody's holding a piece of weaponry and is threatening someone, doesn't really want to kill them, but may be forced to or may have to. Don't make me shoot. Being celebrated in winter, Cupid says there's only room for one, and poking at how Santa Claus, who is based off St. Nicholas, is projected as a very fat person in a suit, Cupid says that St. Nicholas is not fit for the role. "Yeah, I'm so fly, I'm the god of desire. Keep making children live lies and I'll roast your nuts on the fire." Yeah, Cupid displays his suave mannerisms in this simple line that defines his authority as god of love, god of desire. The inflection of his voice is representative of somebody trying to court someone sexually. He threatens to roast his nuts on the fire, like the popular Christmas song, "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire." My kind of love conquers all, but your existence is the paradigm that redefines mankind as one who'll never have a Valentine. Cupid says that his arrow shooting method is flawless in making somebody fall in love with another. However, St. Nicholas, being as repulsive and unmatchable as he is, defies all theory because Cupid just can't make anybody fall in love with him. He's just that repulsive. Also, the painting by Caravaggio, Amor Vincit Omnia, or Love Conquers All, depicts the Roman Cupid, basically how he's depicted in pop culture now. And that position was recreated by myself in the music video. "Santa Claus, your little shriveled arrow can't handle the snow, and I got this hoe, that hoe, all hoes." Santa comments on Cupid's penis by calling it a little shriveled arrow, and his arrow is shriveled because it is exposed to the harsh cold from Santa's North Pole. Santa rebuttals Cupid's claim that he is unlovable by saying that he has this hoe, that hoe, all those, because hoe is a homonym for hoe, which is a slutty female. Cupid's raps are so bad that it seems that he's just dumping out his diaper that he wears right on the track. "Cupid, stop shooting stupid humans. If you didn't exist, there'd be way less kids fooling around on my naughty list." I'm just gonna read this little paragraph to you. Every rap battle has something in common between its contestants, or else there's no sense to the matchup. In this case, it is to see which saint is more prevalent in the winter months. However, there is one other link that I found between Santa and Cupid. Cupid, in a sense, makes people do naughty things with his love arrows. Santa is notorious for having a naughty and nice list, in which the nice get presents and the naughty get coal. Santa says to stop the monstrosity of shooting people and provoking affection between them so that not so many kids will be on the naughty list. It's more of an acknowledgement of a common thread rather than a diss. It's the jolly bowl of jelly against the classical fatty, so take a seat on my lap and let me show you who your daddy. Santa promotes his large size as lovable and iconic, rather how Cupid is seen as a little fat, pudgy baby thing. Santa concludes the rap battle by telling Cupid to take a seat on his lap. Comment to how people do that in shopping malls. By doing this, Cupid will not only acknowledge his defeat, but Santa will show him who his daddy is. By being on his lap, Santa might also tell him who his daddy is. Lyrically, of course. Not only this, but Santa Claus is known as the father of Christmas. Thanks for watching this episode of Chisel This. You can check out the actual rap battle. Alright, that's all for me. You can check out our website. We have a website now. It's chiselthis.wix.com/rapthat. That has to be the entire thing or you're not going to find the website. We have sections on the website such as Get Chiseled, where you can submit your lyrics for me to publicly post about what I think about them and what I think should be changed about them. We have the Deep Dive, which is what we just did today. You can read everything that I said about St. Nicholas and St. Valentine on that page in text form with pictures associated with it. We also have something called Club Chisel. All you have to do is put a username and a password. I don't see the password. The email doesn't even have to be real, but it should be real if you want to receive our newsletter that comes probably once every time a new episode is posted. Club Chisel has a lot of inside scoop posts and a lot of sneak peeks about what's going on with myself and the people who I work with. For example, you can see a sneak peek of me and Miss Forio playing Spyro and Samus, isn't that right? This is the woman that slapped me in the actual music video. You want to do it again? Now get back in the closet. All right, see you next time. There's usually a rhyme challenge, but we're gonna save that for future episodes. 5 minutes of battery left. Awesome. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned on Chisel This, and don't forget, it all starts with a chisel.